Hey friends, before you go on that green card, things are starting to get really interesting with U.S. immigration. Can Donald Trump give you a green card? Hey guys, before you file for your spouse, all right, let's go. Freedom now, freedom now. It's good to see you guys tonight. I hope you're doing well. It's Tuesday night, and all of this week I'm going to be having a live session, not a very long session, but a live session touching base with you about various topics with immigration. Let me know how the audio sound on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok and Facebook. It's so nice to be with family tonight. I'm Latoya McBean Pompey, an immigration lawyer in New York, working with clients nationwide and globally at McBean Law, where we believe in freedom, immigration freedom. On this live broadcast, I'm going to be sharing my tips, my ideas, my educational content, right? For general information purposes only. You guys see the disclaimer. And this is a time to empower yourself, get information, get educated so that you'll know what to do going forward. And I'm going to be answering a few of your questions as well. Guys, things are serious with immigration now, okay? Things are serious, but you guys are smart immigration folks. You've been following immigration content for a very long time now, not just with me, but with others online. And so you're hearing a lot of good information. All right. Hey there, Agnes. Thank you for being with me. Hey there, Ma'am Jem. Thank you, loud and clear on Facebook. Excellent. Guys on Instagram, let me know how things are sounding on your end as well. And on TikTok, double tap the screen. I actually just got home from work. I had a meeting to go to, a networking event with real people. And it was wonderful. It was great. And so I just got home and I am just ready to go. Now, immigration is very serious now, okay? Immigration is a very serious topic. And so tonight, I'm going to share briefly about ways that you could prepare yourself for a USCIS interview. Because last week, USCIS sent an email about their first 100 days accomplishments. Okay, if you've seen that email, say I saw that email and it was shocking. It was just like, oh my God. If you've seen that email, in the email, USCIS reported out, and I'll pull up the email here on McBean Immigration TV so that you guys can see the email from USCIS on April 29th, in which they say in this email that they have helped to facilitate at their field offices the arrest of individuals, and they gave a number in their email. Okay, in their email, they say here, let me just go to that section where they say here that USCIS is actively engaged in cross-agency partnerships. Okay, cross-agency partnerships. Let's try to get this up here. In immigration enforcement and public safety, including having facilitated 369 arrests at USCIS field offices since January 20th, 2025. This is what they've said in an email, that they are actively engaged in cross-agency partnerships in immigration enforcement and public safety, including having facilitated 369 arrests at USCIS field offices since January 20th, 2025. And they go on in this email to share even more alarming data about the number of records that they have referred over to ICE for further immigration activities. So now that you're armed with this information, knowing that USCIS is truly looking for opportunities to coordinate with ICE and other law enforcement agencies, you should absolutely equip yourself with information and with knowledge before you go in on an interview with USCIS. So this is about preparing yourself for that interview. If you're here on tonight's live session and you have an interview coming up, look at your application very carefully, okay, to understand what information is on your application that you have already reported out to the government. If there are any errors, you make note of those errors so that you can correct those errors at the interview. If there are discrepancies, meaning that maybe in times past you said one thing and today you're saying something else, that is a discrepancy that they will be concerned about. So be prepared to explain yourself. Okay. If there are discrepancies on the record at USCIS, and you now have an active case in front of them and you're getting ready to go in on an interview, speak with an immigration attorney about those discrepancies and help the lawyer to understand what happened there. Okay. Very important that you do that. If you're going in for a marriage case interview, okay, we have a free tool on our website that you should download if you'd like to prepare yourself more for this interview with your spouse. Go to mcbeanlaw.com/free and download that free guide. And as a matter of fact, I have it here in front of me. And in that guide, you will see some very important tips about how to prepare for the interview, such as organizing all of your documents, bringing the original documents with you and a copy of everything, and some possible interview questions that you're likely to face, like where did you meet? How did you meet? Who introduced you? What types of dates did you guys have, if any? When did the proposal happen? Was there an engagement ring? These are basic questions that can come up during a marriage green card interview. Certainly questions about the wedding as well. Where was the wedding? Who attended? What kind of meal was served? Do you guys have children? Do you know the names of your maybe your wife's children who were born before the marriage, right? If there are any children who were born in the marriage, of course, the government will assume that the child belongs to, your partner. If there are any problems, though, with respect to the child's um, true identity, absolutely speak with a lawyer about that. And if there was infidelity in the marriage, if there was any period of separation during the marriage before your green card interview, speak with an attorney about it. Why were you guys separated? For how long were you separated? If there are any evidence that you're having problems gathering for your interview, work with an attorney to see what can be done and how to explain these things to the lawyer. If you're now joining me tonight, I'm speaking about the fact that if you have a green card interview or a naturalization interview or any interview coming up at USCIS's field offices, you should be prepared for the interview because things have changed drastically. And last week, USCIS announced in an email to everybody on its email list, including us, we're on that email list, and you might be on the email list as well. And you saw in that email that USCIS said that it is doing cross-agency coordination with law enforcement and with ICE, and they have USCIS facilitated the arrest of 369 individuals at their field offices across the country since January 20th, 2025, okay? It's one of their 100 days accomplishments that they shared with us. So prepare yourself for your interview and know, if particularly in a marriage case, about how to discuss your daily routine. If you're, and I'm going to pick on the guys for just a moment, so bear with me. If you're a guy, a spouse, a husband, and you have problems, articulating, explaining things about your life and about your relationship and about your routine with your spouse, certainly, you've got to pull yourself together. There's no other way of saying it. Pull yourself together and be able to discuss basic things like where your wife works, who is she employed by, what time does she leave for work in the mornings, right? What are the basic daily routines in your home, in your life? You've got to know some dates. You've got to get it right with some dates, like a birth date. You've got to get it right with an age, like how old is your wife? Oh, I'm picking on the men for a minute, and I know that you don't mind, but it's so important because in my line of work, I see a lot of mistakes that people often make. And when you make certain mistakes, immigration can blow it out of proportion and think, oh my God, this is a fake marriage. It's not real. When in fact, it is genuine. It's just that sometimes you might not know how to explain some things, and sometimes you don't pay attention to those small details, right? You're too busy trying to earn a living and take care of your family. But for this type of interview, guys, you've got to pay attention to those small details. You've got to notice these things about your spouse. You've got to notice things around your house. You've got to know these things. Otherwise, they will take it to the next level. Now, this brings me to the next policy that you guys really should pay attention to. All right. Someone says, I'm not good with dates. I don't even know my mom's birthday. Ruan has said, Ruan, a lot of men, thank you for making me smile. I appreciate that, Ruin. A lot of men don't know these things, okay? But for something as important as this, you've got to prepare yourself. Don't think I'm just going to go in and wing it. Don't do that. TikTok, double tap the screen, please, if you're enjoying tonight's live session. Know these basic things. The second policy or issue I want to discuss with you is the notice to appear policy, and it ties into this discussion. USCIS has this a policy that says if they deny your case and they find fraud or adverse things on your record or a criminal record and such, they will place you in removal proceedings. So that's why it's even more important now than ever to ensure that you do well on your interviews so that you can get your green card or your naturalization. You prepare yourself because yes, the policy currently says if you apply for asylum and they don't approve that asylum application, they're going to place you in removal proceedings for an immigration judge to take up that case. Yes, we know that. The policy there, it's always been the long-standing policy as well that if you're doing the removal of conditions process, the I-751 removal of conditions process, that if you don't, well, actually, at the end of your 2-year green card period, if you don't do the I-751 removal of conditions and you go out of status, well, you're supposed to actually be placed in removal, but they don't do that for everyone, okay? They do it for some people, but they're not that consistent. Well, now they're saying that they will be doing that if you allow your status to slip, right? Go out of status, even for a short period of time. So stay on top of these things. Know that their policies are more aggressive now and really, really, really prepare yourself. All right, guys? Now, with that being said, happy to answer some immigration questions that you have tonight for me, okay? If you're in removal, first question of the night comes from TikTok. If you're in removal, can you still get your work permit? Yes. If you, for instance, filed an asylum application in court and it's on file in court, you'll get a work permit. If you apply for cancellation of removal in court as well, same thing, you'll get a work permit with that process. McBean Immigration TV on YouTube. It's great to see you guys. Let's see what questions you have for me tonight as well. Um, let's see. Someone says that I'm in the F2B category. This is the adult daughter or son of a green card holder and over 21 or older. This backlog never ends. Now, my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and she lives alone, and I really don't know what to do. I'm really sorry to hear this. I think that certainly, I think that having a power of attorney in place can really help things. But I know that what you're saying also is that it's very hard to um, to see your process dragged out so long, so many years. You're getting much closer. I don't have the visa bulletin right now in front of me, but you have that 20, I think you said 2017. You're getting very, very close to the finish line, but certainly a power of attorney. You're going to need a joint sponsor for the affidavit of support process. I don't know if you're here in the United States in an overstay status, or if you're outside of the US waiting for this process. But to really finish it up, at some point, you're going to need a joint sponsor for the affidavit of support. Freedom now, guys. Thank you guys for being here with me tonight. I hope you're doing well. Freedom now. Freedom now. Let's go over here. Let's see. Instagram, guys, be nice tonight. Are citizenship applications being scrutinized more closely now? So yes, the vet-in. Thank you for asking that question. I love your photo, by the way, I130. So yes, vet-in. Vet-in is and the screening, they say, is more intense now than ever. Citizenship has always been, for the most part, a deeper dive into your background and into your journey than a green card process, certainly. But now, yes, they are looking for more of those gotcha moments. And also with respect to citizenship or naturalization, part nine, I think that that's the part nine of the application, where they ask a whole lot of questions, those yes or no questions. What I've heard by other attorneys and the Immigration Lawyers Association, of course, is that they are drilling down on each and every one of those questions. They're asking you each and every one of those questions. Um, some people asking those individuals each and every one of those questions for you to say yes or no to, yes or no to. So those questions, a few of them are very tricky. If you do not understand a question before your interview, certainly review the application carefully before your interview to make sure you understand each and every one of those yes or no answers. And if there's any misunderstanding about something, speak with an attorney about it, okay? All right, freedom now, guys. Freedom now. Uh, are you single? You see what types of questions I get from time to time on TikTok. No, I'm not. Freedom now. I'm married. Um, let's see. Let's get to a real question. Um, Waiting on the bona fide determination letter for a U visa case. How long can that take? So D strong, for some people, it could be 8 months, 10 months. We've been posting our process and timeline on Instagram and Facebook. Each day, I think each day, that's what our cycle is. Each day we post something, either a success story on one of those channels or, I'm sorry, those platforms, or the process and timeline. So we do post on the U visa determination as well, and also the work permit for the U visa. All right. I'm a green card holder. Can I travel outside of the United States? Most green card holders can travel with no problems, okay? With no problems. I have a lot of videos on that topic. Go to McBean Immigration TV where where you will see those videos. Come on in, guys. We're talking about changes at USCIS. It's time for you to prepare yourself and go in and do extremely well on your interviews, because USCIS reported out last week that, hey Rashida, last week that they've turned over 369 people at their field offices across the United States to ICE. They made it happen. They set those people up. So prepare yourself and know exactly what you're getting into before you walk into that interview. Someone asked me today, a client asked me today, she might even be watching now, I don't know. Do we know how many, which field offices were involved and or how many came out of Manhattan versus, Miami? And I don't know that data. I don't know that information. But this 369 number is nationwide, I think collectively. Let's see. Um, uh, I'm in the United States. I've been in the US for 7 years, and in the 5 years I've stayed outside of the United States for 8 months along the way. Can I still file for citizenship? Yes, you can, but just I think you need to work with an attorney on that because the government um, most likely will want to maybe make a case about whether you had broken your continuous presence and such in the United States. So speak with an attorney about that naturalization case before you file it. Freedom now, freedom now. Okay, let's see. Um, what about someone who is in removal proceedings and they're waiting on their VAWA case to process? So what part of the removal process are you in? Are you in administrative closure until your I-360 has been reviewed and approved by USCIS? Or do you have any hearing dates coming up? We work on cases just like this one, guys, people who are in removal. We're always looking for options, always looking for a strategy for you. If there is any strategy for you, we will tell you that. Just know that a lot of the, yesterday I spent the first 8:30, evening live session speaking about the self-deportation 10 steps that DHS published yesterday and a lot of the rhetoric and pushes to self-deport. Just watch yesterday's live session. Also tonight we published a video on YouTube about questions you should ask yourself before you self-deport. Just know that this whole thing, the way they framed it, it's really off and it is really mainly a trap. Okay, be very careful about this. Get your information, watch my videos about the questions you need to ask before you even think about self-deport, and watch that video from today. All right, there was something else that I wanted to share with you guys in my email, which I won't pull up here because I don't want to have any any little glitch. And next thing you know, you see what you shouldn't see. So I'm going to use a different device not connected to any of this social media stuff to pull up an email. Oh, actually, I'll just use my phone. I'd like to pull up an email and share something with you guys if I'm able to do it efficiently related to self-deporting and why you should really be careful about the language that the government is pushing. Let's see. This is going to take a little while for me to find it. Oh, here it is. Okay. Let's see if I'm able to get it. Okay, while this is loading, I'll go here and see what questions you have. Does our joint sponsor have to be at the interview for our marriage green card application process? B is asking. No, the joint sponsor is never at that meeting. Okay, so what I have in front of me is an email from AILA, the American Immigration Lawyers Association. They issued a statement today, okay? They issued a statement today about the deportation steps that DHS is pushing. And the title of their press release, their statement is and it says AILA statement, Trump administration lays trap with self-deportation offer. That's what they say here, that it's a trap. AILA says the Trump administration is laying a trap with self-deportation offer with regard to this $1,000 stipend and then voluntary and then helping folks to purchase an airline ticket and all of that. But in their statement, they say here that the government's recent offer of $1,000 to individuals who voluntarily leave the U.S. is not as simple or as safe as it sounds. It is a deeply misleading and unethical trick. Okay, AILA cautions individuals when reviewing the announcement to understand it is deceptive and gives people the impression there are no consequences, such as being barred from returning in the future. We've talked about that, remember? We've talked about the fact that there has not been any change in policy or law that would help the State Department to say to you, oh, because you've used the CBP One app to self-deport, we're going to give you favorable treatment. You're no longer going to be barred from returning to the United States for 10 years. That has not happened. No change in policy. President Trump has talked about having the good ones return to the United States. There is no such standard as the good ones. That does not exist. Okay, we're located in White Plains, New York, but we work virtually, globally with folks. Okay, so then AILA says no one should accept this without first obtaining good legal advice from an immigration attorney or other qualified representative. Even the immigration courts are now posting inaccurate information telling people to self-deport, including those who are in the middle of asylum proceedings and have not had their fair day in court. It is unethical for the government to tell people self-deportation is safe, but not explain the hardship and legal risk to them, especially for people who do not have an attorney and will not know their rights under the law. That is what the American Immigration Lawyers Association statement has said. Okay, guys? So this whole thing about self-deportation, educate yourself. Watch my video tonight about the questions you need to ask. And I touch on these very same things. And I did my video several days ago. When did I do it? I think last week. But it's published tonight. Okay, so be very careful. All right. I hadn't planned on reading that, but so it goes. Okay. Any hope for dreamers? Any hope for dreamers? Debbie, I still have nothing strong to share on dreamers. I don't even know what we're looking for truly is I'm looking for the Trump administration to back up their own words. Donald Trump said several months ago that he wants to do something for dreamers and he will work with the Democrats on Capitol Hill to make it happen. And legislation is there. The Dream Act has been reintroduced, and so we're waiting for action on this case. And I'm happy someone has just posted I got my I-130 approval. That's great, John. Congratulations. Congratulations. Let's go. My fiance is in Germany. What's better for him? Is it to come here to live, a K-1 process or a marriage visa? If you've been following anything I've said over the years about those two, you know that I favor the marriage case. I really like doing a solid I-130 process and visa center process for individuals to come to the United States. But that's not practical for everyone, of course. So the K-1 visa might be the way to go. Right now, I don't like the K-1 visa process only because the State Department is being revamped. The policies are changing. There's a lot that is to come with regard to consular processing, and so it could very well be a challenging process for some people who are going to be going through the K-1 process. Okay, so that's just my opinion on that. I like the marriage case. Um, uh, I have one kid with an American citizen, and I seek asylum. But my question is, can I get married to her? So if an individual has applied for asylum, and they would now like to do a marriage case, they can do that. They can do that. And we've helped a lot of people in those circumstances. Okay. Now, this person then goes on to say, however, but I came through the border. How did you come through the border? That's the question. Because if when coming through the border, that's an illegal entry, and illegal entry won't allow you to adjust your status through your spouse unless you had gotten parole, advanced parole, and traveled out through your asylum case and traveled outside of the U.S. and you now have a legal entry on your record. That's one way it could happen. Or you do military parole in place if your spouse is in the military. That's another way that it could work for you to adjust your status. Um, all right, guys, great questions tonight. Great questions. Double tap the screen, TikTok, come on in, say hello. We're talking about many different things related to U.S. immigration. What about ICE hearing? Should they still visit their ICE? Okay, so Alex is asking whether he should still check in with ICE. So, Alex, certainly you should comply with the rules and comply with the law. Okay. Speak with a lawyer about your checking in process. People are still checking in, and some of them are fine. Yes, we're hearing stories, of course, as we expected, that ICE would be detaining some people at their check-in, but not everyone is being detained at their check-in. So, but follow the law, okay, with respect to the rules, with respect to the checking in process. As a green card holder trying to go out of the country with a criminal record, it could be a problem, right? Yes, it could very well be a problem. It could be a big problem. Go on X, okay? Twitter. I still call it Twitter. That probably won't change, but go on Twitter or X and pull up USCIS, and you will see various tweets that USCIS has been sending out there about green card holders needing to follow the law, or else their green card will be revoked. Go have a look at what they've been saying as of late. So just FYI about that. Okay. All right. Great questions. Let's see. Thank you for joining. You're going to want to watch the beginning where I talked about interview preparation tips. Um, do you have to go to interviews or can your lawyer just represent you and go for you? So with immigration, you have to go to these interviews. The respondent always has to show up, or the person who's in it going through an application process, you have to show up to your interview. Freedom now, guys. Freedom now. Hey there, Shalom. Good to see you. Let's see. Let's see. Thank you for joining. Let me scroll down. Thank you. How long after getting the bona fide determination letter do you actually get the work permit? It's usually right away. Right away. Certainly make sure that when you're doing your filing from the beginning that you include the I-765 application. Someone says, I want you to be my lawyer. Brooklyn Dance Hall has said. So it's super easy. Contact us. Let's see what issue you have. If you have a case, we'd be happy to see what we can do to assist you. Okay. Um, If you have your green card for 2 years, how soon should you apply to remove the conditions? So the government will allow you to do it a little early within 90 days of it expiring because they want to ensure that you don't go out of status. This is not the time to go out of status with this 751 removal of conditions process. So be sure to, and for us, individuals can start a little early with the process with us a few months before. Why? Because if you'd like a payment plan, we offer payment plan options. We would get you on our payment plan so that you could slowly make your payment as we prepare your case. And once we're within the 90 days and you've paid all of your attorney fees, we will file your case with immigration. Hey there, Real Stream. Good to see you. Thank you. Double tap the screen on, um, you know who you are. TikTok. TikTok. All right. Thank you. Someone says they got an expedite request approval. Great. Hey, Pauline, good to see you. Um, the White House had issued an executive order regarding English as the official language. I have not even covered that. It's very important that you pass the English portion of the citizenship test, WARCU. We just got married. How do I start the process to get my husband a visa? So you start the process with an I-130. It sounds like your husband's overseas. He's a foreign spouse. So that would be the I-130 process. Get that in. You could file that electronically to USCIS, or you could file it by mailing it in. And then after it's approved, then you're going to move on to the visa center step. I have videos out there about the I-130 process and what happens next after your I-130 case has been filed. Thank you very much for the gifts on TikTok. Thank you. Do VAWA holders get stopped coming back into the United States? Wendy is asking. So Wendy, I have not been hearing about that happening. Certainly this is an advanced parole travel that you would be doing there, and or whoever the VAWA holder is, VAWA holder. Um, Applicant, you mean? So anyway, without if you're traveling on advanced parole with VAWA application pending, you should be fine. Again, you're just traveling at your own risk. You're doing a good work helping immigrants. Thank you. Thank you, Catherine. I appreciate it. The light has to push back the darkness, right? We gotta push it back, right? Push back the darkness. And yeah, it's been 8 years for me doing this, pushing back. I started in January 2017 with my first video saying, Donald Trump is president. Now what? And I didn't even know what I was talking about back then, but I just felt compelled to just start saying something. And so here we are again. So, can you divorce while your I-751 petition is pending? Okay, so such a great question. I'm using a different phone for TikTok. There is no way I'm going to make a mistake and bring on that guy again tonight. So the dancing guy. Um, so I couldn't figure out how to adjust the settings to cancel out all of these interview requests on this phone. It's not the one I usually use. Can you divorce while your I-751 removal of conditions case is pending? So if a person can divorce, of course, if they choose to divorce. So here you have a scenario where two people filed the I-751 jointly and it's pending and now they're not together anymore. What next? Well, if they decide to move towards divorce, the case can be converted over into a waiver case in which the individual argues that it was a good faith marriage. And here's all the evidence that it was a good faith marriage, but it ended in divorce. And here's the divorce final decree. And so that conversion is something that would need to happen when you are in this type of situation. Okay. The tricky part comes, and I've seen it happen so many times. The tricky part comes when this happens. Your case is pending, the 751 removal of conditions is pending, and then you guys get divorced, and the government doesn't even know about it, and the government approves your case, and one day you're surprised to see that you have a 10-year green card in your mail, and you're like, "Oh shoot!" But it was approved based on a joint filing. That's where it becomes really tricky because for when naturalization rolls around and the government discovers this type of error, that's when it can be a very big problem, and you'll need some real assistance with a case like that. So that's what we do. That's what we do. We work on those types of interesting scenarios. Read our success stories at mcbeanlaw.com/success to seek about stories that like this one that I just described there. Um, what is the next step? Natasha is asking after your I-130 has been approved with your spouse being in the United States. So, Natasha, my question to you is why didn't, in this particular circumstance, the immigrant spouse do adjustment of status? Because normally adjustment of status would be the way to go in the beginning, a joint file, concurrent filing. So, is the spouse a US citizen or a green card holder? If it's a green card holder, the next step in the process will be a waiver, the I-601A waiver, if you're eligible for it. If there's no fraud on your record and you're eligible for it, then it would be the I-601A waiver and then the visa center process. If it's a US citizen spouse and you're eligible to adjust your status, the next step would be a green card application, the form I-485. Is the immigrant spouse in removal? If there's a removal case, well, that complicates things, and then there are additional steps that are needed before you progress with the green card application process. I just talked myself. I feel like I'm getting sleepy. Feel like I'm getting sleepy, guys. How complicated are the consular process at this time? Jose is asking. So Jose, it's the embassies are still functioning, and as a matter of fact, some of them even have some very good times, interview times. This week, I'm going to discuss with you guys further about the new tool that the State Department. It's going to be a good news discussion about how the State Department has published more information to help people understand what the wait times are for the immigrant visa, and they've updated the website with regard to the non-immigrant visa interviews and such. So I'll be covering that later in the week. So stay tuned for that evening live session about how things are going on the consular side of things. And I looked through some of the embassies, and things seem to be going really nice, well, right now for some of the embassies. Okay. Thank you. Double tap the screen. Let's see. Let's go. Let's go. Can my husband apply for citizenship with his I-751 still pending? Yes. He could apply if once he hits the 2.9 years of being a resident. Um, Certainly he could file the N-400, and at the time when he files that N-400, the I-751 would have already been, filed and pending, and the N-400 would help to push things along a little faster too. So yes, I definitely encourage folks to seek citizenship early if you're eligible for the early naturalization, okay? Because cases are still being approved, things are still happening, immigration still works. You just got to be really smart about it now, smarter about it, okay? All right. Okay. What are your speculations as to why they have really tried to touch long pending asylum cases? Okay, so you might have been hearing that folks who had filed an asylum case years ago, they're being called in for interviews now, and sometimes people, it's they're being called in batches, so to speak. Like a lot of interviews are going on. I think one of the reasons for this is the fact that there's really nothing going on at the borders anymore. Okay. It's like a ghost town. Ghost town. Okay. My, how word spreads, right? When you hear that you're going to potentially go to Guantanamo Bay or go to El Salvador or now Rwanda, word spreads. The flood to the borders are just not happening. So there's more opportunities now in our system to address the asylum backlog. That's one theory. Um, the other theory could be this, and I'm just going to put it out there. This is just, an potential uh, i- happening. I don't know this. I can't confirm it. Okay. But another thing that could potentially be happening is maybe there's an attempt to usher more people into the removal process. That's another, possibility, like get them into the system, get them out, in and out. You know what I mean? So it could be that too. But I really think it's more about the fact that things are quieter now at the US border and they're able to do work on the system inside of the United States. Um, let's see. Here's a question about registration. Does the people have the opportunity to register after 30 days? Um, does it have to be between 30 days to not have any penalties? Um, so go on USCIS's website. I'm going to just give you my canned answer because I have to be safe here. Go on USCIS's website and see what the requirements are for registration and use their tool to see if you need to register. Not everyone needs to register. Use their tool to see whether you need to register or not and what the requirements are. And just be educated to know that after folks had registered post 9/11, 13,000 people were placed in removal proceedings. Okay. And we still work with some of those individuals who unfortunately were caught up with those removal processes. And we're trying to get them, get an approved motion to reopen removal cases. That's really what we're doing. So, yeah. Okay. Double tap the screen on TikTok. Let's go down. Thank you, Gabo Multi-Services. I see that. I don't know. I'm seeing some questions about various House bills, how HR this, HR that. I'm not keeping any of those numbers in my mind. Um, is traveling by car safe for someone who overstayed their tourist visa? Jasmine is asking. So, Jasmine, I'm not sure where you're located. Some parts of our country are have more enforcement activities going on, Florida, than other places in the United States. Okay. It's like, I want to hit Instagram. I want to hit YouTube. Too much time on TikTok. I don't know. This is why I usually don't do it this way, but this is a special week. We have so much going on with immigration. So let's see go back to Instagram. Okay, is it a good time for adjustment of status? Yes, it's a good time to go get your case looked at, reviewed well by an attorney for adjustment of status and get your case filed if you're eligible for it. Good time for naturalization, good time to get your status fixed. It's a good time to fix your status. Okay, let's see. My citizen son petitioned for me for a green card, but I overstayed my visa. Will my adjustment of status be denied? So, David, if you're eligible for adjustment of status, meaning that you came in with your visa, as you've said, you've overstayed your visa, this will make you an immediate relative of a U.S. citizen. So, I don't know anything else about your background. You could very well be fine with your case and get your green card, hopefully within a year, or a little longer, depending on where you're located in the country. That's very exciting, though, for you. You're getting closer to fixing your status, which is so exciting. Um, how long after the ICE? I love all these removal of conditions questions tonight. This is great. I almost never get so many of these. How long after the I-751 removal of conditions has been filed, um, do they normally schedule you for an interview? So they're giving you the automatic 48 extension. I've seen some people go close to that. After 2 years, they get an interview. I've seen some people get an interview less than 2 years of it being pending. I don't really think that there is any real consistency to it at this time, to be honest with you. But we are posting our process and times on Instagram and Facebook, as I've mentioned. So, and we do that almost daily, if a few times a week. So look at those posts, okay? Hey, Marie True, good to see you. Um, is it better to take an immigration lawyer with you for your green card interview? For some people, it makes a lot of sense, okay? And you know who you are. It makes a lot of sense for some people to do that. Yes, for some people. Someone says, "Hey there, Turniman. Finally caught me on live. I'm barely making it. Trust me, my eyes are starting to burn. I'm ready to get off." Okay. But we've got to do this. We've got to get educated. Keep going. Can you dismiss my asylum case in immigration court in New York? We do dismissals if if you're a good candidate for it. But yes, we do work with people in Manhattan with asylum cases. Someone says my I-130 was approved last year. That's great. You're on track for a green card potentially. So you can reach out to us to have discuss this further. Okay. How do I know that my lawyer has sent my waiver letter? He said he did, but he didn't give me any evidence. So, waiver letter, I'm not sure what that means, but if you're referring to like a I-601A, I-212, I-601, if I don't know, or maybe it could be a removal of conditions waiver. Whatever the case is, a filing to USCIS usually yields a receipt notice saying that they've received it and they're processing it. You should at the very minimum be able to get that from your lawyer. I don't know why the lawyer or his assistant or her assistant would resist helping you to understand that your case has been filed. That's something that I think that maybe you make an appointment and go down to that office and see what's really going on. Sometimes, you've got to do that. Okay. Let's see. If someone gets married in the US and files for adjustment of status for his wife, then he gets married in another country. What's the consequence? Really? You know what the consequences are. Speak one-on-one with someone about that problem. I know some people at home are saying, did he really just ask that on social media? You heard me read it, right? He was just trying to check to see if I'm still alert. All right. Is the I-130 and I-485 being approved at the same time? Um, for some people, yes, they do. They approve them together. Sometimes they approve the I-130 first, and then they spend more time with the I-485. Um, Also, I see people in the comments on Instagram jumping in and they're answering questions for a whole lot of people. Guys, certainly just use your own discretion as far as you're all adults, right? So if you want to listen to what other people are saying online, that's your prerogative. I would say that maybe you should exercise a little bit more caution because typically the way that I see it happen is sometimes these people will also slide into your DM and say, "Hey, I was the one helping you out," do you have any other questions? And then next thing you know, it turns into something that it shouldn't. So just use wisdom and exercise some caution, okay? Is New York still a sanctuary state? So New York still has policies that are considered as sanctuary. Lawsuits are still pending related to the threats from the Trump administration to crack down on places like New York. In addition, including the fact that USCIS is not going to coordinate naturalization interviews any longer with sanctuary cities. Guys, on that note, and that was in the email from USCIS last week. On that note, I'm going to say good night, and I will be back before you guys tomorrow on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. this week, Monday through Friday. I will be with you guys live, closing this live at 8:30 to answer questions and to talk about a special topic with immigration. I hope that you're finding these sessions helpful to you as we push back the darkness that's out there with immigration. Get educated. Watch my video from tonight about questions you should ask yourself if you're thinking about self-deporting. You've got to go deep with some questions and educate yourself before you make that decision. Don't just follow trends on TikTok, seeing people's parents saying goodbye to them and your heart is like, oh, maybe I should do that. Before you go out and be influenced by what you're seeing on TikTok, ask yourself some real questions like, is there a possibility that I might want to come back to the United States? That's question number one that you should really ask yourself and just really think things through. Again, I read to you what the American Immigration Lawyers Association said in their email, in their statement today about what the Trump administration is doing with the self-deportation stuff. The AILA statement, Trump administration lays trap with self-deportation offer. That's what they've said. All right. So be very careful. Guys, thanks so much for being with me tonight. And I will see you in the next one. Have a good night. Bye-bye.